to show you the nature of this white man. Let's go through this stuff right here. Let's go through it. It says the astrocarp, as known as a shade, is an entity which is not in sense a real individual at all. Nevertheless, it bears its personal appearance and possesses his memory. Now let's stop right there. Even though he's white, he still has a nose, 2 eyes, structure, 2 legs, and all. So he's not one of the alien forms type things. So you say, okay, he's human. But he says he possesses his memory. You see, the whole thing is he's not aware of what he does. His nature is evil. He just does it by nature. But he bears your image, your memory, so in actuality he drains you and he's feeding off of your memory. So when you look at him and you see him with your memory, you say, well, he's human. And this is the white boy talking. A.E. Powell, one of the historical books, coming from the Theosophical Society, Blavatsky Society that I mentioned earlier. They had to find out all the stuff about the mutant if they wanted to cure the mutant. Now, it says it possesses his memory. Okay, now. And all his little idiosyncrasies. That's why he moves and functions like you in certain degrees. It's kind of rigid, but human enough to fool you. But he's actually borrowing your human intelligence. That's how he functions, and that's why you fool. There's a white boy talking. Sue me if I'm wrong. I don't care. It may therefore be readily mistaken for him. Who is him? The black man. You understand? For him. As indeed in frequency in seance. I don't understand what he also mean by that, but it says, it is not conscious of any impersonations. Far as intellect goes, it must necessarily suppose itself to be an individual. It is really merely a soulless bundle of the lowest qualities. Now, this is talking about the white boy. Yeah. The length of life shades varies according to the amounts of lower material of matter which emanates it. It means because we are on this 3rd dimension, it can only last based on how long the earth is on this physical form. Because the white boy is totally physical. He don't deal with the spiritual. You deal with the spiritual, you feel it. While you get in the Holy Ghost and all that stuff. You go to his church, you know the whole thing. And you ever really got around white people and they're really cold. You know. That's why you can't look them in the eye, because something spiritually ain't right about it. And they say that you got 3 currents of energy, and he only has, you got 4 and he only has 2. And when you get around them, you drop down to 2. So therefore you're confused and you think that everybody's everybody. Because you're not functioning on your maximum capacity. Whereas he is functioning on his maximum capacity and has brought you down to his capacity, so you think everybody. That's the illusion. They say one thing about the 3rd eye. They say when it is open, the illusionary world disappears and the real world begins. That's the whole thing. What man, know thyself, to know thy God, know that you are God. Now, it says, it varies on how long it's going to stay here based on what kind of physical matter it can cling on to. That's why it stole the world from you. Okay? It says, but it is steadily fading out. Its intellect is diminishing quality. Thought is possessed a great deal of a sort of animal cunningness, which means that you are fascinated with the white skin and the long hair, just like you fascinated with that little puppy out there, because it's an animal cunning. It's like you fascinated with the lion. Oh, look at the lion, look at the snake. So you're fascinated by this doggone beast. That's why you want to look like it. Okay. And even quite to the ends of its career, it is still able to communicate by borrowing temporary intelligence from the medium. The medium is you. It borrows the intelligence. Got you fooled. You in an illusion, and he the devil. Now, from its very nature, it exceedingly liable to be swayed by all kind of evil influences. That's why it can kill up all the people. It takes all the evil influence out of the universe, and hey, it does this thing because it's on a low level. So it functions off low gasoline. You function off the real juice. You understand? He functioned off feces or sewage, and you function off high 91 octane. That's the difference between the whole thing. Because he can raise the spiritual sinners, but he ain't got the juice. And you got the juice in the back of the head, which is the image of God, which is called the Akash, which means the image of God. Okay, now, Let's go on. Let's see. Born temple of boom, all kind of ego. And being separated from the higher ego. That's why I showed you that page. It's not on the 7 because it doesn't have the medulla oblongata. It is on the 6, which is the mark of the beast. Okay, now, this is the point. It has nothing in its constitution capable of responding to the good ones. Nothing in its soul and constitution. And if it is responding to the good ones, it's always for a master-slave relationship in some kind of utility so it can stay on top. That's why you work for it and all, but you're always a master-slave relationship. And in this case, they're trying to get you to save themselves. But it has nothing in its constitution capable of responding to the good one. It's in the astral body and all. And then when they talk about another thing of what this is, they go into saying it's a highly developed form of an ape. Is what it's talking about. Now, to really give you the juice on what it is, and then we're going to end off from question and answers, I'm going to really give you the juice on what's going on here. To show you the final conflict of this war that's going on. And it goes like this. Osiris is called the god of the perfect black. Now remember that. Now remember earlier I told you that the Bible, the reason why we fight is because we don't take them books and put them together in a chronological order and find out the whole piece of the puzzle. Because the Bible is a piece, the Quran is a piece, the Bhagavad Gita is a piece, the Upanishads is a piece, the Book of the Dead is a piece, a greater piece because all those came from that. But that hadn't been deciphered. But I done told you the mysteries of the Book of the Dead is the Black Rite of Osiris. We just talking about the black man as God, what Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you 60 years ago. You see, but taking those books, mainly because we are in him, two books that was revealed to us in the Western Hemisphere was the Bible, which is our book, rehashed a little bit, but still our book, still the meat is in it. It's the good book. And it's got juice in it. Don't let nobody fool you. And the Quran, those are the two books that's revealed into the lost children of Ra, since the two books are talking about us. And in the Quran, it talks about how they're going to kill the blue-eyed devil. In the Quran. It talks about how the God going to chastise the ones with the blue eyes. Mainly talking about the Greeks of that day and the Romans of that day. Now look, when you put those two pieces together, it was interesting to note that it says this. However, the faint aura of uncertainty and a hint of possible reprieve. The teachings of Muhammad was set down in the Quran. It is later than the Christian New Testament, but much nearer to our time. See, God puts a series of books down. The last book that he put down even in the AD, which is this era, AD was what? The Holy Quran, which is nothing but the final chapter of the Bible. It's not to be separated. It's the final chapter of the Bible. Because the same prophets are in there as in the Bible. We got to look at it because they're all our books. We got to get out of this divisionary type stuff that we go through. Now look, it says, but it is most nearer to our time. In some respect, now this, you got to look and listen to this real close and try to pay attention to what's going on here. Because the white boy is telling you what's going down. It says, it is in some respects therefore much nearer to our time. It is in some respect an addendum to the word of the prophet Jesus of Nazareth, which it means it's an annex in the next phase of the same Jesus. It says, it says, in a certain page, it is not laden with terrible warnings of the final destruction under the heading of the star. Now, the final destruction under the heading of the star. Well, remember I told you what the heading of the star said in the Quran. And this is another translation of the same one I read earlier. And that is him, the second creation. They're talking about the second creation is the old world. You had an old world, which your Noah story is actually talking about the first 26,000 years that sunk below the thing as the earth as Atlantis. That's your Noah and flood that they put in the Bible. Check. It says with the second creation, he has enriched and causes to possess, and he is the Lord of Sirius. Same one, another type of thing in the Quran. And he is who destroyed the ancient Aditis, which could be Atlantis. Now, this is what it says. Now, stick with me. It is also given in the sign that we bear in the full lading ark. Now we're talking about the Noah's ark. See, the whole thing was, even though it was talking about Atlantis, they was also talking about that ark. That ark was not, the Hebrew myth put it as an ark that got on the ocean and swam for 40 days and 40 nights. Well, in actuality, that ark was not a boat. In the ancient time, it was called flying arks. And we made the vessels like it in which they embark, if we please drawn them. Now, this is the point. Throughout the Quran, the great flood and themes of many references the destruction of a stone-charged winds, yet it refers to the future ark, or arks, rather than the ark of the Noahian deluge. You're talking about the actual future arks that's going on, which is the flying arks, which is talking about flying saucers. That's why you see the Egyptian gods, they're always in these arks. That's flying saucers. Now, this is the point. Now, this is the key that I want you to understand, because this is dealing with us. Number one, they've already connected the destruction. They've connected the old world. Now they connected the new world that's going to be destroyed. And they connected that these arks are talking about UFOs. And this is the key. This is the key between us and the UFOs. Note that the association, the Lord of Sirius, which is under the star in the Quran. Y'all with me? The Lord of Sirius, the star, is the star that can only be Sirius itself, which is the heaven, which is known as heaven to the ancient Africans, the Dogons, the Egyptians, and all of this. Itself. In pre-dynastic Egyptian times, they would call him Osiris. Now, this is the key. The Quran says that the people are going to do the destroying. Who's going to do the destroying? They say whoever's going to do the destroying is the Lord of Sirius. Now, if you take that to Egyptian and say, who's the Lord of the Sirius? They'll tell you that the Lord of the Sirius is Osiris. Take notes of the royal we. Isis, Osiris, and Horus. This is the key. Now this is the key what they mean. Okay, number one, who is the Lord of Sirius that's going to take this world out? Well, number one is Osiris, but it's not just talking about Osiris, the one Osiris. They say the royal we, the family of Osiris, Isis, Osiris, and Horus. Perhaps an entire remnant. Remnant means left over. An entire remnant of an Osirian race. Osirian is called what? The god of the perfect black. If you take the word Osiris, which means black, a remnant of the black race. Check. Check. God-like men, rather than God's immensely powerful, influential, yet omnipotent, universal created beings. They talk about us. That's the key to this whole unfolding. You see what I'm saying? Osiris is the god of the perfect black. He's the one. Osiris also, he descended into heaven, but Osiris is the dead Osiris. Dead lying dormant as the dead people. Osiris is what? He was cut up into 14 pieces and scattered throughout the land of the Nile. What are we? We are cut up from the original Africa and scattered all over the world. That's right. As the great diaspora, in the Caribbeans, in here, blacks all over the place. But we're dead people all over. But he says, Osiris is called the god of the perfect black. But so take the word Osiris out, Osar, out. And it means black. Just say god of the perfect black, or black. And he said Osirian race, Osiris meaning black, the black race. So what he's saying is, in conclusion, that the destruction that we're talking about having, we are the ones that's going to have the last laugh, as the book said about the people from Sirius, the black people. But how can you do this? Because when the cycle comes and you open up, you will have the cosmic consciousness of God that can tear this planet up. That is why the white boy has got to get rid of us quick through his King Alpha plans, his immunization, the diet, and all of this type of stuff. But I say, just like Minister Louis Farrakhan said, make a move and my God gonna kill you. When he made this move this time, our God gonna kill him. That's why he made that move. You know, people ain't got no guns and they already started killing the people over in Somalia. And any black person dumb enough to go to Africa to fight, that's right, he needs to die outright. If you that To be in Africa, your homeland, to fight with a beast that has done nothing but drug you through the mud, and you're going to go in your own homeland in a doggone confusion that the white man started? And even if we did start the confusion, if I got a fight in my house, I don't need no outsiders coming in. Let me take that. We'll call the truth a truth. But don't let the beast, that's the problem of the whole world suffering, he's behind all that. You're going to go in with the devil? You need to die too. As well as Haiti. You see what I'm saying? As well as Haiti. So that's the reason why this the reason why he's got to take us out, because he understands that the final destruction is coming from us. But the whole key is to get black people to believe in themselves through the diet, through the meditation, and through all of those things, and to tap into these spiritual powers. But if you clean yourself out and start thinking right, when the cycle comes, you can tap right into the cycle. You're going to open up anyway. But what happens? They said when you open up, the same stuff that puts you in heaven can take you into hell. Some people are going to be going crazy. Lord, I don't know what's going on. All these psychic powers going on, I don't know. You'll go crazy because half of the people in the crazy house are nothing but the stuff that opened up in them, because they say, I hear voices talking to me. All that is the spiritual awareness that opened up in them, and by them not having the knowledge, they couldn't handle it. The reason why I know that, because one guy was walking down the street about 2 weeks ago talking to himself. About 3 weeks ago talking to himself, and I turned around and said, I gave him the sacred chant, which means Amen, means Heru, harvest. It means Om. In India, it means Om. So when he got down about 2 blocks, I said, Om. He turned around like that. I said, that's what's happened to him. And there's no way he could have heard it, because I said it real low. He turned around like that. But he was tapped in, but he's crazy because he don't know what's going on. So when this stuff open up, you're going to be crazy. That's also why the aliens is here, to direct you. That's why Honorable Mama said it's going to be an angel on each corner. On each corner. And they're going to make themselves known. Just like the man in the book, the guy from Paris said that these people from West Africa, they're going to make themselves known through influences and through all kind of people. They're going to be an alien on each corner saying, this is what's happening. Go this way. Go that way. And that's why these other aliens, they're here to take the beast out. They're here to direct us. And also, you being the Lightbringers, when the stuff open up, you know what's happening. Because you're right in the middle of this stuff.
You tapped into the knowledge.
You tapped into the knowledge. So now what's happening? All you got to do is in your mind, start thinking the right thing. Just say, I'm down with the brothers, my brothers, on the interplanetary brotherhood. And that's all you got to do. And you got the raw juice in the hookah. They got an army right outside. But the whole thing is to get the black man to believe in himself. You see? And the black woman. And that's all you need to do. You see? Yeah, I understand that point, but the whole point is also, too, we're not talking about the masses of the people. We talk about the nucleus, which I always talk about, which is us. Don't talk about the masses. That's a too big a crowd. You get ran over. You see what I'm saying? But the masses have never did anything but die. Never would. That's all they ever did was go by the current that's going on and get swallowed up by the current of that day, which is a cycle. But we talk about the small nucleus because you're going to be the light bringers. That's why you here. Now, ain't that something good to know? To know that I know a little bit of knowledge that only 99.9% of the people don't even know. They used to say that the 85% the Muslims. No, it's 99. It's only 1% of the people that's really conscious. That means the masters we talking about is somebody that you know in your family. Each one teach one. Just to save your little small cluster. You understand? And so when the thing go down, you know what's going on. That's the beautiful thing of this. Is to know something, and to know we get ready to get out of this thing, and to know something that other people don't know, and you can actually be a light bringer. There's nothing on earth that you're supposed to be doing right now but helping yourself and helping your people. All the other stuff is null and void, because all the other stuff is going to be gone in 2 years anyway. What you going to do when they cut out the money? Go see the movie, like I said, Demolition Man. Or go rent the movie Handmaid's Tale. And a couple other movies. Go rent also the movie Total Recall. All them New World Order movies is talking about the science. Go rent the movie They Live. New World Order talking about the science. But what you gonna do? That's the good part about this. When they cut out the money, the only thing that's saving us now is the haves and the have-nots. We look down on the have-nots. And because we have an artificial false pride, and really we just as crazy as the have-nots, that's separating us as a class. But when they get rid of all the money, you ain't gotta worry about nothing. You will just be a broke black man in a better looking suit. You're going to all be the same people. But the whole point is also, too, but when they make this final move, all you got to do is be down with the people. That's what I've been telling you the whole time, just believe in God. I'm just telling you the actual scientific way to believe in it, instead of a spook way. Believe in the highest powers and be down with it, and they already know. They know that we talking in this room right now. Why? Because the quiet is kept. There's a UFO that's been following me, and God is my witness. And I don't want to swear, but there's a UFO ship that's been following me since this summer. I think since July 23rd, but I can be sure. I know on August 14th, a brother revealed to me is that, and everywhere I go, last time we got out here, I said, that's it. They say, it looked like a star. But when we got on the highway to go back to that thing dropped down to the trees and followed us all the way home and sat right behind my house. When I went to New York for the last 2 weeks, it was there. And one of the sisters, she said, I'm going to go check on it when you're gone, because I see it every night when I'm standing with you. She said, but when I don't see that thing come up there, I'll know that it's following you. And she checked on it, and it was gone. But it looks like a star. But it turns into red and green colors. But the reason why it looks like a star, because it doesn't want to be identified. But it's a protection vessel. But the point about it is this. It rises around 7:30. No, it rises around as soon as it gets dark. And it sits there. And then 9:24 on the dot, that baby turns red and it leaves. Because the clusters of stars that's coming this way is coming towards it. And if it's right beside a star, you can say, that's a star, that's a real star, that's a UFO. So what it does, it sets in the sky all from the stars. So when it leaves, when the clusters of stars, as the earth turns, comes this way, it comes and it goes and sits on the other side where the stars have left. So it comes back about 1 o'clock on the other side. And then by that time, it done moved back over in the other spot. But it followed me. I was on the plane, because I had to get her mother died, and I had to go straight and get a plane out. I was on the plane. That baby followed me to the plane. It followed me on the plane. All the way to right outside of D.C. And then it started fading out, right? We're going into New Jersey, and it faded out. You see? And when it faded out, by the time I got to New Jersey, it was right outside the airport, and it followed me on into New York and Long Island. You know,
turn black.
Huh?
It can turn black.
All it is you got to realize it's a spiritual vessel. It can go into the spirit and the physical. It can transform itself into the spirit and the physical, and all this type of stuff. So I'm hooked up with the juice, but the whole thing is to believe in myself, and you got to realize we all hooked up. Now I don't care what you say. You got to be somewhat elated that all of this stuff we've been praying to God. See, we can't be hypocrites, because a lot of us don't believe in that. Only reason why we enter the church is because of a fear. We're scared to go to a hell that don't exist. You understand? That don't exist. That hell's supposed to be 9 times hotter than the sun. And the sun is 93 million miles away. And if it come in 1 million miles less than that, you understand? The 91, this earth will burn up. But you're going to tell me there's a hell 9 times hotter than that exists 4 miles or a couple of miles down. It is hotter than a 93 million mile sun, 9 times hotter, and the earth don't burn up? That'll burn up the devil. You know? But you know, like Carter Muhammad said, you bring that devil with the red pitchfork on top of the ground, and I'll go get my devil, and I guarantee you my devil will run that devil back up under the ground. He said, that's the kind of stuff we talking about. But that's a hell concept, like I explained in my last lecture, that was put in, they adopted it from the Egyptian book of Gates, which is the heaven, the Egyptian heaven and hell. Which the Hebrews didn't have a hell story when they first wrote the Torah, 700 years after Moses supposedly got out of Egypt, or got kicked out, or left with them people and got kicked out. 100 years before Christ, they put the Egyptian book of Gates and put that hell thing in there, and it's actually a moral dogma to scare you into the faith, because the actual people that the faith was being drawn to had becoming a nomadic tribe, and they needed to be scared into something. You understand what I'm saying? There ain't no such thing as no God fearing. We didn't fear God, we were God. The European that have a xenophobic attitude always feared things because he didn't understand, scared of his own existence, scared of people unlike him, scared of his own woman who was much more powerful than him. So he said, I must control her. So therefore you get sexism come into things. and all. And like I said before, it ain't no doggone thing saying I'm superior over the woman. You ain't superior over your mama. That's not even a question. I know a black man, you got to be a doggone fool to tell me that you're superior over your mama, the person who raised you. You got to be crazy. And the Egyptians knew as well as everybody that that woman was most superior. Because you go right there to Tibet right now, and they can raise their vagina up to the sun and catch a certain rate, and they can have a child without even having the male energy there to give them that child. Because your semen is called solar phallic energy that comes from Sirius. That's why they say that the semen is coming from their ancestors. And that's nothing but a cosmic ray in the form of semen, and you give that to the woman. Well, they can get the same cosmic ray from the sun, and they can have babies. That's why the first archetype of great mother, she's not seen. She's seen with the great mother, and she's seen as the child that you call God, the he that you call, which is Sirius. But she's first seen even in the heavens as not even having a God there to have that baby. That's why when the baby is born, even in science now, that baby when it's first born is what? It's a female until later on it develops a penis from an elongated clitoris. That's science. You understand? That's science. So the woman is the actual microcosmic form of that heaven. The man is the microcosmic form of that blazing star. But all in one, we talking about a duality that works together. You see what I'm saying? That works together. You see. So the whole thing is to get the African to believe in itself. You to believe in yourself, the Lightbringers, because the other ones, help is on the way. And so we're going to phase it out. We're going to go into a little bit of question and answer. And, we're going through some question and answer and stuff. And, you got any questions, we can answer them now. Yeah.
Mention was made during the break about the pyramids and how they
were
built.
Yeah. Well, the pyramids, that's still one of the greatest mysteries known. Even the Sphinx. They don't know how old it is. And there's some mysteries that we won't know until we get back to that 360 degrees of knowledge that we lost. And the reason why we won't know it, because right now we on the low level with the white man. And they said also too, if the white man was to get that kind of knowledge, it'll take all of the interplanetary brotherhoods from all of the solar systems to take him off the planet. And they say the true knowledge of the earth will not be revealed except with people with wrong intentions in mind. Because like before, it would be like scrambled eggs. You could never get the gods off the earth. So now what I was saying, yeah. Now the Peter Tompkins book is one of the greatest books you can get on that. The mysteries of the secrets of the secrets of the pyramids. Secret something of the pyramids. Peter Tompkins. But one thing about this is this. Let me tell you the secret that I was going to tell you about that. We got a friend down in Atlanta by the name of O. Tim. He's a brother from South Carolina. He's been dropping knowledge. He one of the scholars too. And he met up with a white Rosicrucian. Now the Rosicrucian got an old saying, doggone faith, we got to know. Because we ain't got time to be bullshit. We need to know the science of God. So the Rosicrucians told him, say, yeah, you got on the ark on your ring. So they started talking. And the Rosicrucians said, yeah, he said, the capstone, which is the granite piece, because the pyramids was one white limestone one time. You can get the earth, wind, and fire all in all covered, and you'll see a white pyramid, and at the top you'll see a starlit beam. It had a black granite capstone, and when the sun would hit it, it would beam like a big star. And just imagine you in Kemet, and you seeing this thing, these white pyramids, white limestones, and they took the limestones off to build the casings, build the mosques when the Arabs invaded. So what you got is the stones that was underneath it. And they actually show you the limestone casings of Peter Tompkins. But you would have this particular, this actual capstone on the Great Pyramid would be beaming on actual stars on it. It's unbelievable. Now, it's unbelievable and stuff. Now, the Rosicrucian told him that the granite capstone, I think this might be in the British Museum, in the Cairo Museum. He said that granite capstone, he said that the granite that it is made from is not found but one place in the world. And guess where that is? Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh, man.
So that's letting you know that we was all over this earth. It was found in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And Stone Mountain was not a mountain, it was a mound. It was actually it was a pyramid. And if you go to Georgia, they got mounds and pyramids throughout Georgia.
That's right.
And throughout America.
That's right.
But the black granite was only found in one place, Stone Mountain, Georgia. So we talk about the mysteries.
Came to Georgia.
No.
Got that piece.
Yeah.
Now we know this because look, and and I got a spiritual story that happened to me, and one day I ought to tell it. It's real high-tech stuff. It transformed me into getting this stuff. One day I ought to tell this story. Now look, well, we have no time. I'll tell you something. Now look at this. Now check this out. It was something I was getting ready to say, and I forgot my train of thought. But anyway, that's one of the things when it comes to the pyramid and all. And it had a glider inside that they thought was a bird, but it's actually a glider. And right there, even in the book, The Serious Mystery, that they're going to be selling here, they got an actual picture of an actual monument that's in the doggone Serious Mystery that is actually a UFO. Right here, it's an actual UFO. And also, too, like I said, too, on some of my tapes, the mothership tape, where they found this doggone wheel from Hemmitt. And it's in a museum over in Europe. And in 1978, NASA developed this flywheel. They said it could go in future spacecraft and could propel gravity where they don't have to use fuel. And they said, well, I don't know why you're looking at that thing. We got one identical that we found in the first dynasty of Egypt in one of the pyramids and stuff, the same flywheel. And it's called the wheel of NASA, but they got it and it's right there. Talking about it was a bowl. And it ain't got no, it's a wheel now. It got holes all in it, but it's a bowl. And it's the identical wheel that NASA developed in 78. And all this type of stuff. And also, so they also have that also too, about those particular mysteries that's going on also too. And any other questions? Yeah, what's that?
I wanted to comment. You were talking about the white man, how he come from the caves and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's related to the eighth earth, that it would be the white man. It also the form of his body.
Yeah.
They even had it on. It was special. Well, it really wasn't direct, but the form of the black man's body and the white man's body is completely different. It's like the white man's top of his body is real long.
Yeah.
And his legs are short.
He's undeveloped.
And the black man's legs are just much longer.
Yeah, he's uninvolved. That's why the Sufi Muslims talk about there's a people on the planet that they haven't evolved to the point. And that's why they're trying to give them the great works and this whole thing to do that type of stuff too. So yeah, it's in the 8th family and all. Act like one.
Do you have any questions about the artificial, the synthetic melanin they're trying to develop?
They talked about it on the TV last week. I was up in New York and I saw it, and they was talking about that they're trying to tell them not to go to the tanning salon, that they want them, they'll pay them even money to go in and take this drug and this artificial melanin and all, but they showed the results of it and it was failing too. It was failing too. What's that?
Well, Indians in the South, were those people from Africa? I saw a program.
Which Indians in the South?
I seen a program about the Maya tribe, and they had pyramids down there. They revealed some hieroglyphics and pictures.
Well, you got to realize what that is this before continental drift. Yeah. Black people lived all over the world.
Before continental drift, the United States was hooked up right there.
And if you take the map like we was talking before, if you put it all together, it all fits in one piece.
It fits.
The South America all fits in one piece. So in actuality, you had that type of connection. But you got to realize too, that the 3,000 year period that we talk about is far too young. We talk about going back millions of years where we were Homo sapiens sapiens. I mean, when you talk about Homo sapiens sapiens, they get the oldest finds, and that had to have a mother was Homo sapiens, which is what we are now. Is what 2 billion years old? What, Lucy? Maybe older than 6 million years old. You see, and at the same time, they got this Grimaldi man that's a couple of 100,000 years old. So what is that telling you? If you got a Homo sapiens sapien, which is the man that's walking upright and thinking and doing all the stuff like God's on the planet, and you got a Grimaldi man that is humped over, that means that actually you got 2 species. You see what I'm saying? One is older than the other, but you got 2 species. One is still one of them cave type people. And all that type of stuff that's an undeveloped person, and that's what you got, and all this type of stuff. So,
Also, you want to try to like make a comment to them when we were talking about like that when we talk about the man, beginning of man, if the man come from the earth, the color.
Oh, see, well, I did when I said that. They said that he fashioned the man in the mud. Well, the god Ptah in Egypt is where they got that story from, was fashioning man on his potter's wheel. Well, that particular mud, they say, is the black earth of Kemet, which means the black land, and that particular alchemy, which is the black substance of the universe, as above, so below, is that particular stuff they talk about, the image of God in the black earth. Which the black earth is talking about Kemet, Cam, which that was the first place where man stood up. So therefore, you're talking about the same substance of the universe, which is in the body of God. and all that type of stuff. What's
When we're
that?
talking about Sirius and all that, isn't that stuff astrology?
That's astronomy. Astrology is related to the planets in this solar system. You got a solar system. Then you have astronomy, which is the completion of the whole universe. So you have an astrological chart if we deal with astrology, which is hooked up with our moods and all of our stuff based on what sign we under this universe of the planets, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, and all those. But then you have astronomy, astronomical charts that talk about other solar systems. But the one closest to ours is right outside of ours. And Earth is nothing but a connection of that, an extension. And the sun is, our solar system is an extension of that greater solar system. We're talking about Sirius, and the other ones is talking. That's astronomical, you know, and stuff. So any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you know about the Orion band being open and when it opened?
Well, there's so much stuff going on. I've heard about that, and the plutonium belt, and all that type of stuff. And all that stuff is actually stuff that's here. They said that May 5th, 2000, all the planets will line up, and all that type of stuff. And most of that stuff is global warming. All that stuff is to take the unnatural elements. This is the cleansing process. Since we are part of the universe, and we are the gods of the universe, you're talking about cleaning. You're talking about any impurity or unnatural cancer is on the planet. Which all the animals have melanin and everything. That's lower than an animal. The animals got melanin. You mean to tell me this a man is walking around here that's ruling us?